Hi, guys, it's Mrs. Cameron here, and we are continuing on with our SAT Math digital practice. This is the second portion of, of the practice test that we were using from College Board. Question number 1 says, Tilly earns P dollars for every W hours of work. Which expression represents the amount of money in dollars Tilly earns for 39 W hours of work? So when we look at this, we want to say, okay, so what would we do? Would we multiply, divide, add, or subtract the amount of money she earns with the hours she works? So to find out how much money you make per hour, you would do which of the following? You would multiply. So our answer is right here for this. And question number 2 says, for a training program, Juan rides his bike at an average rate of 5 7/10 minutes per mile. 5 7/10 minutes per mile. Which function M models the number of minutes it will take Juan to ride X amount of miles at this rate? So you want to find which one models the number of minutes it'll take for him to go X miles. So if it's 1 mile, it would take him 5.7 minutes. If it was 2 miles, it would take him 2 and 5.7. What would you do with the numbers? Would you divide, add, subtract, or multiply? If he's going 2 miles, 5.7 minutes per mile, I would hope that you are multiplying. Questions number 1 and number 2, if you want to find some similar practice to this on IXL, I would go to lesson E2M, and that'll give you practice that's pretty close to these SAT questions. And then question number 3 says, the solution to a given system of equations is xy. What is the value of y? You have 2 ways you can go to solve this. Right away, you can see that 3x and minus 3x, those are equal and opposite. So you could just add these equations together, and these would cancel out. So on this side of the equal sign, you'd be left with y. And we add 12 plus negative 6 is 12 minus 6. It would be 6. Or if you're not a fan of solving a system of equations by elimination like this, you could also just put these on your Desmos calculator. This would take you a little bit more time, but this is still allowed. So if you've got the time, then you can use the calculator. One equation says 3x equals 12. The other equation says negative 3x plus y equals negative 6. And our solution, it highlighted it for us, is 4, 6, where the y value is a 6. If you want to practice this in IXL rather than Khan Academy, the lesson code in IXL for similar practice would be WV5. And then question number 4 says, the equation gives the speed s in miles per hour. So s is the speed in miles per hour of a certain car t seconds after it began to accelerate, what is the speed? So what is s in miles per hour of the car 5 seconds after it began to accelerate? So we want to find out what is s when t is 5. So s equals 40 plus 3t. What's the 3 and the t doing together when they're sitting together like that? Add, subtract, multiply, or dividing? They are multiplying. So instead of putting a t in my parentheses for the 3t, I'm going to sub in a 5. And I know that 3 times 5 is 15 plus 40 is 55. And if you want to double check, you can pop that on the calculator really, really fast by putting in 40 plus 3 times 5, 55. And if you want to practice something similar to this on the IXL rather than Khan Academy, the IXL code would be YJT. Question number 5 says, for the right triangle shown, A equals 4, B equals 5, which expression represents the value of C? And if you look on your reference sheet, they give you something that looks almost just like this. Right here, if you can see where my mouse is, C squared equals A squared plus B squared. They do give you the Pythagorean theorem on your SAT reference sheet. They just don't say, here's the Pythagorean theorem to use for finding a missing side on a right triangle. They don't tell you that, but they give you the formula right here. So you don't have to have it memorized if it's not in your wheelhouse, right? So from the reference sheet, it said C squared equals A squared plus B squared. And we already said that A is 4 and B is 5. Oops. And if C squared is equal to that, well, here's the question I always ask my students. We want to solve for C. C is squared. What is the opposite of something squared? And you would take the square root. And then your square root and your square cancels each other out. So C equals the square root of 4 squared plus 5 squared. And you don't have to put anything on the calculator.